Earlier today, Lakers Nation released a video talking about the Big Three era being over. And I'll link that video down in the description below. Highly recommend you check it out after this video. But the reason I wanted to make a video sort of talking about this, I love Lakers Nation. I think that they are fantastic. I think that they, really help the Laker community, things like that. But I understood the points that were being made in the video. I just disagree with a large bulk of it. And I wanted to express why I disagree with the Big Three era being done. I actually don't think the Big Three era is done because most teams are built around three guys, right? I understand the argument. Like, if you look at the landscape, if you look at teams, like, none of them have like three superstars. Okay, I understand that. Maybe it's not in the best interest because that's what the argument was being made, that the Big Three era is over, that Russell Westbrook was simply signed on the Lakers as a response to Brooklyn because Brooklyn got James Harden, things like that. Both teams ended up being a total disaster. And yes, I mean, I understand you're trading that superstar for depth, and a lot of teams had depth. They talked about how, the Toronto Raptors when they won. Also, they talk about, the Lakers when they won. But the problem with that is you're leaving certain things out, right? I mean, when Toronto won, they played against Golden State, who lost their entire team during that series. Otherwise, they would have lost. Like, seriously, they very likely would have lost that series. If even just Kevin Durant didn't go down, I think they would have lost that series. The Lakers, that was a bubble thing. I don't look at that championship as like an asterisk or anything, but it really was beneficial that they got 4 months and Anthony Davis and LeBron James were able to rest, right? They were able to take, basically an off season off and then get back into the swing of things. I think that is very beneficial because you essentially had a healthy LeBron and AD, who are two top 5 guys in the league when healthy and they're playing to their full potential. Not even big threes usually don't have 2 top 5 guys in the league, right? So I don't think the Big Three era is done, even in general. And they said, look at the teams that are in the NBA, that are still remaining in the NBA playoffs, right? But all of those teams have a version of the Big Three. They might not be 3 big superstars. We may be out of the era in the sense of, a LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, or a Kyrie, Bosh, or a Kyrie, Kevin Love, and a LeBron, things like that. But we've always had big threes. Big threes are hugely successful. Even the Clippers, right? They were hugely successful. Reggie Jackson kind of fell into that third role. You need that third guy. Yeah, you could have 2 guys and have a bunch of really great role players, but you need that third guy that is consistent. You need that guy that's going to give you, 15, 20 points night in, night out. And we still have that in the playoffs at this very moment. And let's break this down. Let's dissect this a little, right? Who's already in the NBA Finals? The Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors have had their big 3 for several years now, have won championships. You had Clay, you have Steph, and you have Draymond, right? That's their big 3. They have 3 big name guys, 3, top 15, top 20 guys in the NBA, all stars, all known players, all known commodities. You have a guy and Andrew Wiggins, who has been an all-star. That's a big 4 there. And then they have Jordan Poole, who nobody saw turning into Steph Curry 2.0, right? So, I mean, they have a big 3 at their core. And then they got extremely lucky with a Jordan Poole who developed into this, up-and-coming star in many ways. And then Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins has always been that 20-point-a-game scorer. He was never a number 1, but when you're the 4th option on this team, that is incredible. But Andrew Wiggins, let's not pretend like Andrew Wiggins wasn't a big name player. Like, he wasn't this up-and-coming star. He wasn't a top draft pick. He wasn't this highly touted after type of player. He was. He just fit and bought into Golden State's, formula of success. And now he's really the 4th or 5th guy, but he is that guy. And again, I understand not all these guys are superstars, but it's still the same formula of that big 3, that big 4. Who are your 3 or 4 guys that are going to really set the standard? If you just have Clay and Steph and a bunch of role players around them, let's take out Draymond, Jordan Poole, and we could even leave Andrew Wiggins. I don't think they're in the finals. I don't even think they make it out of the first round. The only team that really had major success and didn't really have two other guys was Dallas. And that's because Luka is just once in a generational type guy. But he had two other guys in Spencer Dinwiddie and Brunson who stepped up hugely. And we're having 40-point games and 30-point games and stuff. Again, falls into the big three. Who are your three guys that are going to lead the charge night in and night out? Who are your three guys that are going to be successful and win? And guess what happened? Their big three ran into Golden State, and Golden State's big three was just better. That's just how it is. But let's keep expanding on this, right? The Brooklyn Nets, that was a big thing, right? Brooklyn, we saw the disaster that was, all of that stuff. But it had nothing to do with the actual big three, right? It had nothing to do with Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. When they played together, when the three of them played together, they had like a 33-9 record or something along those lines. Like they were everything that teams were afraid of. They were the best team in the league when all three were healthy. And then this season, Kyrie went down, right? He was doing his own personal things. He didn't play. He only played like 20 games this whole year. James Harden ends up getting traded off because, he has disgruntled. He's upset that Kyrie isn't, doing what he needs to do, holding up his end, and Kevin Durant. So it basically became Kevin Durant. If these three guys stuck together this whole year, they very likely could be in the finals, right? I mean, seriously. Even Milwaukee last year, who was left out. Milwaukee has a big three. They had Middleton, they had Giannis, and they had Drew Holiday, right? Again, a big three. They have those three guys, night in and night out, are going to show up and be consistent and give you that thing. And that big three almost lost to Kevin Durant, right? I mean, he was literally a foot on the line from sending them all home. And that was with, a hobbled James Harden and, injured Kyrie and stuff like that. So Brooklyn was something we never actually got to see happen. So I don't think that is a fair assessment of the big three era being put to an end. If these three guys were healthy and these three guys made it to the playoffs together, I really think that we would be having a completely different conversation. Completely different. Just because these three guys are three of the best scorers in the entire league. But they imploded. They literally imploded. And we saw that happen. But Boston, right? Boston beat them. Boston is a win away from the NBA Finals. And Boston has a big three. They have Marcus Smart, who just won Defensive Player of the Year. And they have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Two guys that are, your consistent go-to stars, right? And then you got Marcus Smart, who does all the dirty work. He locks down the best guy. He gets you, 15 points a game. You got your big three. You got your consistency. And then add in guys like Robert Williams and stuff like that. Al Horford. Al Horford's been huge. Like, let's not overlook that. I mean, you could even argue Al Horford is part of the big three, big four. All of these teams have that three-guy standard. Who are your three guys? You can't just have two guys and a bunch of role players because you can't consistently rely on those role players night in and night out. You can't rely on one of them having 15 points a game. We've seen that. We've seen that try to happen time and time again. The argument, the big discussion is always, who is your third guy? Even the Lakers, when Westbrook, right? That was the big thing. Who is the third guy? And the Lakers, when they won their championship, that was the big question. Who is the third guy? Who is that guy that's coming in and night out and being consistent? Rondo was that guy in the playoffs. We saw playoff Rondo, who was huge contribution. And yeah, they had a bunch of role players, but every night, yeah, you need that third guy to really get things done. Boston, another team who is in this tournament still, in the playoffs still, has a big three. Miami, right? Again, right now, they're a win away, just like Boston is, from being in the NBA Finals to play Golden State, who has a big three, who have, arguably a big five. Same thing with Miami. You have four guys. Tyler Hero's your sixth man, but he's consistent. You're going to get 15 a night from him. You have Kyle Lowry, consistent. You know what you're going to get night in and night out with him. Bam's going to give you the same thing over and over again every night in and night out. Jimmy Butler, same thing. And guess what? The nights that those three don't show up and perform are the nights that they lose. You know, when you see Kyle Lowry, Bam, and Jimmy Butler getting 20 points each, they win. That's what happens. That's how it goes. Jimmy goes and gets you 30 points. Bam gets you 20. Lowry gets you 20. You win that game. Again, it's the big three standard. You have a guy like Tyler Hero who could be your third night in and night out. But if he has a bad game, as long as your big three are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you're good. Every team currently in the playoffs all have a big three. The one team that that you could argue didn't have a big three got smacked by the Golden State Warriors. And they developed a big three in the playoffs in Dinwiddie and Brunson. It's just they just met the juggernaut that is the Golden State Warriors. All of these teams have a big three. The big three era, in my opinion, is not dead. Maybe the superstar big threes. But here's the thing. If, I don't know, let's say Jokic, insert your three. If, Jokic, LeBron, and Davis, ended up being on the same team. Or if Kyrie comes to the Lakers, right? Big trade. I made a video about it. Link down in the description below. Kyrie comes to the Lakers and Westbrook goes to Brooklyn like the reports are. You're telling me that big three, if healthy, isn't winning the championship? Of course they are. Like, who's going to stop them? You have three guys night in and night out, if healthy. Like, at that point, if you have a superstar three, if they're healthy, you're in the best position you could be. Because you're going to get the same production every single night from those players. It's just how it works. It's just how it is. So though I don't agree with the whole big three era is over. The superstar thing, that's always been a difficult task. There have only been so many teams throughout history that have had three superstars. And it's usually not three top 5, top 3 players, something along those lines. It's usually like a top 15, top 20 guy, maybe 2 top 10 guys, right? They come together, boom, and the three of them are just great. So I just don't think that the big three era is over. But as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree with this? Do you disagree with this? Do you think the big three era really is over? Or do you think no, you're right. Every team in the playoffs all have a form of the big three. They all have those three guys night in and night out. You know what you're going to get. And that's my big point. You need those three guys. Every team is built around who are your three core guys. And then the role players kind of circle around them. Who are your three guys? I mean, all the teams in the playoffs, right? You had Bane. You had Ja Morant, right? You have these guys. You have these three guys night in and night out. Every team has those three guys. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I love to hear it. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow with the bell notifications. Stay up to date with all things sports, join this wonderful community, and all of our discussions. See you all in the next one.